Hey, it's JC Sylvie with Sylvie Residential. I'd like to welcome my guest today, Keith Barrett. Keith is the president of Vesta Settlement Solutions. He's also the founder. Keith, welcome to the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, crazy times. Keith, I thought it would be a good idea before we get into some of the obstacles associated with closings and settlements to give the viewers an idea of what a settlement company is and what their obligations are and day-to-day operations, that kind of thing of a settlement company.
Yeah, great question. So a real estate title and settlement company is, I think, one of the three main players in a real estate transaction. So you have your real estate broker, which is really the tip of the spear, and the agents. You have your lender, and then there's us, the real estate title and settlement company. So the easiest way to describe what we do is just take each of those words. So there's the settlement and the title. So the settlement piece that we do is the kind of day-to-day administrative work, gathering all of the information that's needed to go to a closing and make sure that, we have all of the proper documentation, information, numbers, coordinating with the lender, balancing that file. Of course, files all need to balance out to zero, right?
Yeah.
$100 in, there better be $100 out. So that's pretty important. And then handling all the money, really big, important function. So that's the settlement piece, and then actually conducting the closing. On the title piece, we have our really what I call the behind the scenes things that we do. So we're ordering the title search, reviewing that title, preparing our commitment, which is our commitment to issue a policy of title insurance on the transaction, and then ultimately issuing that policy. And as you know, lenders require it, owners optional, but the vast majority get it. So kind of a parallel dual function that we.
So settlement is huge. That homes aren't going to get sold unless they can get to settlement. That's the bottom line there. So a pretty important piece in the housing market. And if you guys can't do business, the housing market's going to grind to a stop pretty quickly. So that was the fear a lot of people had. I know I've been concerned about it. I talk to you guys every day, not all day long, but every day, to try to figure out how we're going to solve this problem of getting people into closings and settlements in this current environment, considering the pandemic. So what's your current state of operation? How are you conducting closings, and how are you guys setting up precautions to protect my clients and also your clients?
Yeah, really good question. And I think everyone, just to start from a general point of view, I think everyone in this market has had similar feelings about the what if, and what's coming down the pike, because none of us we've never been through this before. So here's where we are right now. Right now, Vesta Settlements is open for business. I feel very fortunate, actually, JC, that Vesta, as part of the financial institution and lending infrastructure in the United States, Vesta has been deemed an essential business. Because, like you just properly said, if we're not functioning, if we're not working, then these loans can't happen. They just cannot be made. And so that was under the Department of Homeland Security. They put out a bulletin about what critical infrastructure was for the United States. So we're part of that. That said, if we look just to Governor Northam's recent orders, there wasn't really a distinction between essential and non-essential businesses in those orders. Those orders basically just said if you're even a retail, but beyond retail, if you're just office, and you are able to maintain proper social distancing and keep a clean, sanitized environment, then you may continue operations. So even if we weren't essential, that leaves open for title companies and real estate agents, for that matter, to continue doing business. So what are we doing then, practically speaking, was kind of your next question, to protect not only my team, but you and your clients. So we have put in some protocols. We're essentially asking for only necessary signatories to attend closing, right? We want like the whole family showing up, and the kids and everybody like that. And to be honest, even the real estate agent, you do all your leading up to closing, you don't really have to do anything at closing, especially someone like you that's got all their ducks in a
You're right.
row. You know, when you go to closing, everything's ready to go. You've done what
Not much I can do at that point. But it's
yeah.
funny, Keith.
We'll take it over the finish line.
Yeah, I had one this morning actually, and my clients were at Vesta in Leesburg, and for the first time I was not there. So, but
Yeah.
I was really close by with my phone,
Right, just in case. Right?
just in case
Yeah.
it happened. And again, once you get to close, and once you're at that point, there's very little that a real estate agent can really do to solve the problem.
Correct.
I mean, we might be able to have some answers here about
Yeah.
commissions and stuff like that, but anyways, yeah, it was the first for me where I was not at the closing.
Did it feel awkward?
It really did. Yeah.
You want to be there for your client. I know.
Right. Exactly.
And then for those that are showing up, we're actually having them, you know, we have very nice long conference room tables. Yeah. We're actually having them sit down at the other end of the table. So, you know, we're maintaining more than 6 feet.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably a 12-foot table, right?
Yeah, easily. So we're really maintaining our distance. We are sanitizing literally after every single closing.
Yeah.
My team and myself have also become the cleaning crew. So we're literally wiping down all the tables, chairs, door handle. So when people come in, you know, they're
good.
You have a comfort that we're really taking precautions. We also have about 40% of our staff right now working remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So even behind in the back office, where we have created an environment where the social distancing is in place. We're not kind of on top of each other.
Right. So let's jump into the remote aspect of it. Are you guys able to do remote closings? And if you are, what are some of the things that we have to think about with those?
Yeah, and I want to be really clear about how I answer this, JC, because unfortunately I've seen a lot of, I hate to say it, but I've seen a lot of title companies kind of promoting this. And I think some of them are putting misinformation out there. Mm-hmm. So it's very easy for me to say that Vesta Settlements can perform remote online notarizations. In fact, we've been set up to do that for over 2 years now. Mm-hmm. But here's the catch. Just because we're set up to do it doesn't mean it can be done. And the reason for that is because on the lending side, and I'm certainly not pointing the finger at the originators, it's really the secondary mortgage market that's the issue. They still are not on board with remote online notarization. So when you talk about doing a closing remotely and doing like an e-closing, as people call it, can we do it for a cash deal? Absolutely, because there's no lender involved. Can we do it for a seller? Yes, if the buyer's title company and the lender say, okay, I don't mind the deed being, you know, remote e-notarized and signed. But when you're talking about the buyer who has the loan, I'm not aware of any lender in this area that is allowing a remote online notarization. And so it forces clients that you might have, a buyer client who's getting a loan, to, you know, either have a notary go to their house if they're not comfortable coming outside, or come to our office and we will put in place the proper distancing and sanitization and make sure that they're as comfortable as can be. We've even offered, like on some refinances that are a little bit more smooth and easy to do, we have done and might formally start to offer what we're calling like a drive-through closing, where drive up to our office, call us, let us know you're here. We'll come down with your package with all stickies marked sign here, and then go park and sign it and hand it back to us. You got to be as creative as you can in the market.
I think that's a great idea. You know, like look at all these restaurants out there. You know, they're pulling up and bringing their food out there and signing your check. I like the idea. I think that might be a good solution for a lot of people. With any new process, Keith, there's opportunity for people who have bad intentions, right? There's fraud out there, and anytime anybody starts something new and we don't fully understand the process, there could be gaps in security. What are you guys doing to protect the security of wired funds and personal security and information, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's JC. You know, it's funny, and you're so right. And I would add that market turmoil and big events like this just bring out the worst in some people, and fraud really is on the rise. So as you know, in our industry, we've been battling real estate fraud now for years. The fraudsters have identified our industry as ripe for the picking because there is so much money moving around.
Right.
And when you think about it, unfortunately, there's money moving around between, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but between unsophisticated parties. You know, it's just all the buyers and sellers out there that are using kind of commercially free emails that might not be careful and click on something that they shouldn't click on, or enter a password or something, right? So it's an easy phishing attempt for these scammers to get someone to do something they really shouldn't.
Right.
And all of a sudden, that scammer has all the information they need about the transaction data and facts. And so they're able to then create very realistic looking emails using proper names and the title company name, and even individuals at the title company.
Right.
And they just attach a fake wire instruction to that very legitimate looking email, and voila, you've been scammed. So we definitely see it. We've been on the lookout for that for years at Vesta Settlements. In terms of, we can't control outside people's email, right? That only they have control of that. But in terms of us, all of our emails are, dual authenticated. So you have to enter, you get a password to the phone to enter your credentials once you log in. Our entire settlement software production that we use, which is web-based, is also dual authentication. So every time I log in, I have to enter a passcode from my phone to get there. So obviously, simple things like that make it very difficult for people to perpetrate a scam, at least on our side of the equation. We will not accept wire instructions by email.
Right.
Your client has to be present and sign on a form so that we could visually see who's signing it, and we've already confirmed their identity. We're just as careful as we could possibly be about that stuff. And I'm so glad that you would bring that up, because it is so important to remember that, because they are out there. And about 80% of the money, by the way, a little fun fact, about 80% of the money that is stolen from real estate transactions in the United States winds up in China.
Whoa.
Yeah. And if someone is successful in perpetrating it, if you don't reverse that within 48 hours, that money's done.
You hear it about it all the time.
Yep. Really scary stuff.
Yeah. So. Let's talk about other obstacles in the process, Keith, that you guys probably face every day. Getting surveys done, employment verification, payoff statements, that kind of stuff. It's all required to go to closing, right? And it's probably not that easy to get some of this stuff now with people working at home.
Awesome question too. I think what we're seeing in that regard is just the unintended ripples and consequences of this overshadowing pandemic that we're dealing with. And you start to realize how it is really touching every part of every industry and every business. So for example, we just got a report last week regarding surveyors that were having problems getting their surveys done because a lot of the homeowners who are selling, who are now not at work, they're working from home or they're home, and they're all a little freaked out about what they're hearing in the news, and they see some random person show up to their property and start coming onto their property, and they've been, understandably a little defensive and in some cases combative. Saying, I don't know who you are and I don't want you touching anything. Please get off my property. And that's the surveyor. And so we've been told that they've been having problems. Everyone else that we deal with, HOAs, whatever, if they're working from home, and if, there's a lot to be said about working from home and the technology that we have that's supposed to be so easy and efficient. But when push comes to shove, it's not always that way. It's not always easy and efficient. And I've been dealing with that just in my own personal life with business that I deal with. And now we see it in ours, where maybe ordering the HOA and getting the information is just taking a little bit longer. There's just a little bit more friction in that process than there otherwise was.
Right.
So it really is touching everything. And, we're getting along, and I think everyone else is too, right? We're all just trying to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And I I think for folks like us, and it's just a matter of managing expectations. And I think everyone's been really good about it. Everyone understands that we're all under a certain amount of, uncharted stress in continuing to get business done. And you know what? We're doing it. We're getting the business done, and we're very busy. And you guys are doing an amazing job too.
Well, this is great information, Keith. We really appreciate you joining us today. I'm glad to hear that you guys are still doing business day in and day out. I know my clients that settled just, well, heck, it was just 2 hours ago that they settled. They had a great experience with you there in Leesburg. You guys have always done really good taking care of my clients. I appreciate it every single time I leave your office. Always impressed. This is good information. I want people to understand that the market has not stopped. People are still buying homes. They're still selling homes. And there's a ton of refinances in the system right now. I mean, rates are just incredibly low and cheap money. And it's good that you guys are able to crank out those closings, because this is a great opportunity if you want to refinance for sure.
I agree 100%. And yeah, it's if I can add on a personal note, it's always a pleasure serving you and your clients. And you're right, we're still seeing business come in. So anyone out there listening, it's happening. The real estate is still moving forward, and we're just finding ways to continue to move forward, and that's really all we can do.
Yep. Keith, where are you guys located, just for our listeners? You guys have 2 offices. Tell us where those are.
Yeah, so we have an office in Leesburg.
Mm-hmm.
It's over on Fort Evans Road in Leesburg. We have, I'm talking to you now from our office in Chantilly.
Yep.
It's office just it's on Penrose Place in Chantilly. And we have another office in Richmond, Virginia, actually.
Okay. And if they have any questions about settlements or closings or title insurance, how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're already in a deal, certainly someone would have been assigned a contact that they can contact. But if you're not, and you just have a general question, and I'm always happy to talk, you could reach out to me. I'll give you our office number. It's 703-288-3333. And if you prefer and you want to email me, pretty simple, kbarrett, BARRETT @VestaSettlements.com.
Cool. I'll include those in the post, just in case anybody needs to reach out. And I will second Keith's advice there. He's a great asset. I probably ask him a couple times a month about a question about closing or settlements. He's always available for me, and I appreciate it. Keith, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much for having me. I like having the personal contact in this environment.
Yeah, that's good. It's all good. All right, Keith, we'll talk to you soon. See ya.